Hey you guys, happy Monday. I'm here with Stella. She is actually playing in her tunnel. Well, she thinks it's her tunnel. It's actually my nephew Paxton's tunnel, but she plays in there and thinks it's hers. Anyway, guys. All right, we're going to read maybe part of chapter 6, maybe the whole chapter. It depends on how long it takes of She Dared Malala Yousafzai. So next week when we roll out True Virtual Learning, we're going to be talking and reading about making inferences about the central idea of the text by using details. So let me give you an example. So I think that chapter 5's main idea was that Malala was being kicked out of her home and she felt scared. I can use the detail of the last sentence that says, Malala held back tears. She felt she'd never see her home again. So that's a detail that I can use as evidence and proof that she felt scared by being kicked out of her home. So those are the types of things that we're going to talk about next week, and the thinking and learning that I want you to already kind of be prepared to do. So we're going to read chapter 6, which is called Exiled. Chapter 6, Exiled. As soon as Malala's family was packed, they rushed from their home, joining the many others who were fleeing from their homes. Mingora had a population of 175,000 people. Everyone was now something called an internally displaced person, IDP for short. To Malala, it sounded like a disease. She sat in the back of her neighbor's car, squished. Children sat on the laps of adults and smaller children in their laps. She'd rather be in a car with only her family of 5, but Malala's family didn't have a car. And in this overcrowded one, there was room for her to bring only a single bag, the one with her clothes. The textbooks and novels she'd packed so carefully had to stay behind. So now she can only bring her clothes. She had to leave her textbooks behind. I can make a prediction and an inference in this chapter that she feels sad because we know that where is her happy place? At school, right? Her favorite thing to do is learning. So we can make an inference that Malala is feeling sad because books were her favorite thing and she had to leave them behind. So see how that thinking works? We can use the details from the text to make a guess and an inference. The textbooks and novels she'd packed so carefully had to stay behind. Before Malala left, she quickly whispered verses from the Quran to protect her precious books. But at least Malala and her family were in a car. A motorbike passed with an entire family balancing on it. A bus was so full that people perched on the roof. It looked like people oozed from the windows. Rickshaws, mule carts, and trucks all carried IDPs and their belongings. Many people hurried on foot, carrying whatever they could, while squinting into the sun. It was only late spring, but temperatures spiked into the 80s. Everyone headed in the same direction. The street was jam-packed, and the Taliban watched from the tops of buildings as everyone fled. Where was the army now, when they were so quick to fire missiles earlier? Malala didn't want to look up at the bearded faces of the Taliban. She rubbed her clammy hands against her pants. A line of sweat dripped down her back, partly because of being crammed together, but also because if the Taliban wanted to attack, the entire valley was like a herd of cattle slowly moving. Malala's father told her, in a few days we'll return. Give it 2 or 3 days. Everything will be fine. Malala hoped he was right. They drove north of Mingora. Soon they passed the Swat River on their left, huge cliffs on the right. They drove for 6 hours until they reached the village Malala's mom was from, where they still had relatives. She was lucky she had family to stay with. Others weren't so lucky. The majority of IDPs stayed in makeshift camps and tents, which were really tarps held up by big sticks. They had to wait in line for food and water. Sickness broke out. There were rumors that Talibs or members of the Taliban were hiding amongst the tents. The thought of it all made Malala shudder. So did the fact that her father left them to travel across Pakistan to hold press conferences and protest. He wanted to make sure the government got the Taliban out of their valley. It was a relief to hear on the radio that the army was battling for Mingora. Hotels and buildings became bunkers and they fought hand to hand on the streets. Malala wanted it all to be over. It had been longer than the 2 or 3 days her father had said, much longer. A month passed. Then another. She wanted to return home and she missed her books. On the day of Malala's 12th birthday, no one remembered. It was very upsetting. Even without candles to blow out, she wished for peace in her valley. Why was it so hard to save her country? Maybe Malala could help. When she was younger, she decided she'd become a doctor, but maybe there could be another role for her, a new role. Why should she be limited to one of the only 3 futures when politics would give her a stronger voice? Hadn't her mom encouraged her to create her own path in life? Maybe Malala would become a politician. All right, we're going to stop right there, and I want you to think. So at the beginning of the book, they talked about some of the few paths that women would take, either a stay-at-home caretaker of the home, a doctor, or a teacher. And she chose a doctor, right? Because she wanted to learn and she wanted to make a difference. But now she's seeing that maybe if she goes into politics or standing up for women's rights, maybe she would make a bigger difference in the world. So I want you to make a prediction using details from the book. What do you think she's going to decide to do? All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you have a great night. Make sure you're getting on Schoology and logging in. All right. Bye, guys. Love you.